This has to be one of the most aesthetically different designs of a robot vacuum and its base station that I've ever seen to date. It's the Eufy S1 Pro, and I've seen nothing that looks anything like this within its niche before. So, a huge thanks to the team over at Area 51 for loaning this for review. But the real question is all of this design just smoke and mirrors, or does its performance match the promise? Well, I'll come back to that, because let's talk first about the design, because this is the thing that really hits you in the face, starting with the base station. I mean, wow, seriously, just look at it. This is where the robot finds itself docked, where it empties its dirt that it's gathered in the cleaning cycle, and washes and refills its mop, and charges itself, of course. Now, normally, I'd say this type of design is absolutely wild and purely for show, but on this occasion, it's really not. It's actually got some really genius points of design that I'm properly in love with. For example, where the robot docks, you've got a particularly textured ramp to help with the robot ascending and docking into the station. This is great because I've used a few vacs over the years that when the wheels get wet, they kind of struggle to dock somewhat. Also on the base, you've got suction hatches on the underside, which might seem inconsequential, but actually it kind of helps the overall experience because of the gravity pulling the dirt out, and if there are any blockages, they'd be much easier to access. But another point for access, the bottom has a detachable debris tray, which makes it fantastically easy to clean. This is where the mop washes and dries itself with hot air to stop the mop from absolutely stinking after just a couple of uses, and helps eliminate bacteria too. Now moving up from there, we've got this tall, almost cylindrical top, which looks like a single unit, and I've got to say is so well engineered. On the very top is a touch panel with some simplistic controls that allow you to start the robot on a cleaning cycle, return the robot to charge, and change the mode between vacuum only and vacuum and mopping mode, which is a handy shortcut to have, and the first time I've ever seen this mode selector on a base station before. But more noticeably, this is the first robot station that I've ever seen with a full colour display on it. Now this provides a visual indication of what it's doing and what mode it's in, and I'll be honest here, that this is super cool. Probably overkill, but do I love it? Absolutely. And does it help? Well, without a doubt, because it offers no confusion about the robot's status without actually having to look at the app. When it's finished cleaning, it's even got a drying time indicator, which I think is a really nice touch. Now behind this is the dirty water collection. I like how this is hidden on the rear side and covered over, so you can't necessarily see the stinking bog water that it mops up when it's in your kitchen. Emptying this is straightforward. You just pull the back off, open the hatch and pour it down the loo. Pretty standard stuff. But the clean water tank is anything but standard. Its appearance is one thing. It's great big see-through tank on the very top with an LED ring inside, which looks like some kind of fusion reactor. But this LED ring changes between red and white as well, depending on the robot's status. When it's not able to run, say for example when there's a blockage or if the dirty water tank isn't attached, it'll turn red to warn you. It looks so cool, and it makes this one of the most flashy water tanks I've seen in a robot vacuum cleaner. But it's more than this because it hides two secrets. The first is actually behind the tank. Remove the clean water tank will reveal a hidden compartment for where Eufy branded cleaning solution goes, which sort of just snaps in and then mixes automatically with the water when filling the robot up. This is very clever indeed, because unlike any other robot mopping system I've used before, I'm actually tempted to continue to buy this cleaner simply for the way they've designed it. They've made it so that it's almost an integral part to the whole system as a proprietary product. Nearly all robot vacuum makers have their own brand cleaning solution, which you manually mix into the clean water tanks, and yet the only thing stopping you from actually using your own cleaning solution in these tanks, which is often a quarter of the price, is that they try and use fear tactics by suggesting that you shouldn't use any other brand of cleaning fluid, and if you do, your robot will likely set on fire, empty your bank account, change your will so that the company gets your entire fortune when you die, sells your dog and marries your wife, and then blows your entire house up. Now with the Eufy S1 Pro, they've been very clever to make this a plug-in part to encourage people to buy it over other options. And it works. I genuinely feel like this is the only device I'll probably buy another solution for when it runs out. For transparency, it's a bit pricey at £20 a bottle, mind. And I don't know exactly how long it lasts for. It may last for a very long time, so only time will tell for that. So far, mine hasn't run out and I've been using it for the past 2 or 3 weeks, nearly every other day. Now, my only other nagging concern, is that this is very much specifically a designed bottle for that device. So what happens in a few years' time when there are other models of Eufy robot vacuum cleaner that can do everything from making you a cup of tea to grooming the dog? Will they still produce this cleaning solution that is specifically designed for the S1 Pro? Or if they stop making it, what are the solutions? Well, I mean, technically speaking, you could perhaps fill up one of these containers with your own solution. But of course, Eufy recommend doing against that. Of course. But the thing is, you might not actually even need to replace it. And that's because the station has one final trick up its sleeve. And this is for those who perhaps don't want to use floor cleaning solution and have an aversion to using hard chemicals for cleaning. Now, there's plenty of firsts when it comes to this robot, and yet again, this is the first robot vacuum cleaner that I've seen that creates ozonated water in the water tank to aid with cleaning. What's ozonated water? Well, in a nutshell, it's alien technology, and it's an ozone-based treatment system to purify and sterilise the water, killing all pathogens, bacteria and viruses that might be lurking in it. And it does this through UV radiation, and whilst it sounds about as real as unicorns or the stock market, it's actually a very real process which splits a single oxygen molecule into 2 oxygen atoms, which then forms ozone. Now this ozone then dissolves, causing the oxidization process, which turns the ozone gas back into regular oxygen molecules, and by doing this, it kills everything else in the water. Science or witchcraft? I'll let you decide for yourselves, but this sterilisation process of clean water in the tank means that the S1 Pro is cleaning with the cleanest water out of any robot mopping system that I've used to date, and that's even before it mixes with floor cleaning solution. Now there's one more hidden secret in the station, and that I've discovered anyway. There could be more hidden rooms full of miniature aliens eating all the dust that it's collected. I mean, anything is possible at this point, but if you're like me, when I first experienced this, I'd gone to the point and thought, where on earth is the dirt collection bag that the robot empties itself into? Well, this is actually hidden in a compartment accessible once you remove the clean water tank, and as such is very much hidden away and helps create this overall sci-fi and modern sleek design I'm totally in love with. And this design has found its way seeping over to the robot too, because this also looks nothing like any robot vacuum cleaner that I've tested before. I mean, the thing's not even round, for crying out loud. It's more like a soft square. And when you see it moving around, if you're like me and have only ever used round robots, the movement looks so uncanny. Very strange. And I had this initial concern that its abilities would be hindered by the fact it's square, but after using it, it actually makes sense. For starters, the mop is a roller style mop, and on the round robots there's quite a large gap between the edge of the roller and the robot's edge. Take the SwitchBot S10 that we reviewed recently. I mentioned in that review that there's a good sized gap between the roller and edge of the robot, which means that over time a distinct line of dirt will build up around the edges of your rooms. I think it was about an inch gap. Well, with the Eufy S1 Pro, this is very nearly solved. It's not completely eliminated, as is the nature of the fact the mop has to be actually held in something, but the gap is less than 7mm on this model, and that's largely down to the squarer design. And another thing on the mop, because it's self-washing and cleaning itself all the time as you go, and obviously scrubbing the floor, it is really bloody clean. And I didn't actually check this out at the time of writing this review. This is something I'm just coming up with now. When I lifted it from the base station to sit it here to come and film this, I checked the bottom to see what it looked like. And I actually can't believe how clean the mop is. Just have a look at this. Look at that. Look at how clean that is. And that's been running for days. I'm well impressed. Another unusual thing you'll notice about this robot is that it's lacking a little hat, like every other robot vacuum cleaner has. Now normally this is where they hold their LiDAR system used for mapping. So if this doesn't have that little hat, you might wonder, how on earth does it find its way around? Well, for navigation, it uses something quite different to standard robot vacuums. It uses something they're calling 3D Matrix Eye, which gives it this little panel at the very, very front here that combines an RGB camera, DTOF LiDAR and 3D SLAM sensors. And as for the fact that this is completely directional, I can't believe how well it's performed, which has been exemplary. Not once has it gotten lost, not once have I had to run a remap. So the proof has been in the pudding, really. They don't actually need a little hat. And the thing is, without the large nobule on top, it does one very important thing. It makes this robot vacuum cleaner particularly slimline, which in turn means that it can go underneath furniture that's much lower than regular vacs can, and a big bonus for those looking for something that can reach those hard to clean places. And as for cleaning, this thing doesn't just look incredible, it performs outstandingly. In terms of its suction strength, it has 8,000 pascals of suction, which is a whopping figure for a robot vacuum cleaner. And as such, it does well even in the deeper crevasses of my stone flooring. It seems to do very well picking up the little bits of dirt. But it's the mopping that I've been extremely impressed by. Now, I've only experienced one other robot vacuum with a roller mop. And with that one, which was the S10, I found that with the undulations of the ground, the flat nature of the roller meant that it missed some spots out. Whereas with the Eufy S1 Pro, I don't know how they've done it, but it doesn't do this. It creates a perfect streak of mopping without missing any of the undulations. Now, it may be to do with the fact that this exerts 1 kilogram of downward pressure on the mop to make sure it rotates and scrubs properly, which is as much pressure as holding a bag of sugar in your hands. This mop will automatically retract when it goes onto the carpet too, which means it can do your whole house in the same cycle. Now, the speed in which it actually pulls the mop up and down is like a bullet. It's quite funny to watch from the side, but of course, on this point, Eufy have decided to add a couple of extra sprinkles here and added a little secret that I didn't know about until I started watching it do this. Now, with other robots, aside from getting your head right down to the ground, smushing yourself down here, you have no idea whether or not the mop is retracting properly or not, which is slightly disconcerting if you're watching it munch its way across your Priceland Persian rugs on the other side of the room. It could just be using cleaning solution on it without you knowing. Well, Eufy have built in an indicator to give you a peace of mind by popping a little LED on the side that when the mop is down and mopping, the LED lights up, and when it retracts, the LED goes off. It could be a little bit more obvious, mind, because it's only on one side. When it's the other way round, the indication is only a little flash of red on the side of the roller where the button is to remove it and replace it. But either way, this is a great addition, and it gives me more confidence when using the mopping functionality to know that it's not mopping my carpets. But overall, I've been super impressed by the functionality and performance of this device, far more than I expected. But we must now talk about the downsides. And this is one of those very rare occasions where, so far, I haven't actually found any. The one thing, and this is something I'm being really picky about, when my robot goes over really big bumps in the stone floor, something squeaks slightly. And I think it's the rear stabilizer underneath the reservoir at the very back that does it, which when on a flat surface it doesn't seem to do, only when going over the undulations. So 99% of people probably won't even notice this. And if you have maximum suction on, which let's face it, most people will have on, you hardly hear anyway. It's just something I thought I'd mention. Perhaps the only other point I could make is that it's got an RGB camera on it, which is partly used for the AI navigation and obstacle detection. But there's no way to actually view that from the app, which would have been nice. There's times where I want to do things like check I've let the dog back in before I've left the house, for example, and being able to drive it around to check if he's in the house or stood longingly shivering at the back door would be a lifesaver. Perhaps we'll see them opening up this functionality at some point in the future. What the quality of that RGB camera is like, I don't actually know, but it's something that I'd love to see. And I guess lastly, we've got to talk about the price. Now, before we discuss this, I've got to say that I think this is the best performing vacuum cleaner that I've tried in respect to both its navigation and actual cleaning functionality. It's also the most aesthetically pleasing robot cleaner that I've ever seen, moving away from the typical box base stations and round design white robots, all of which have been to the benefit of the S1 Pro. But as such, it's also one of the most expensive robot vacuum cleaners I've tested. At its RRP, it was listed at £1,499, but it was on quite a big discount when I checked, however, so it's worth checking it out at the link below to see if you can grab a bargain on it. But although this is a rather high price, I have absolutely no problem in saying that this is one of the most consistent and best at cleaning robot cleaners that I've ever used. And if you do decide to splash your cash on one of these, you will be anything but disappointed, because this has just blown me away. It's the most high-tech, efficient and aesthetically pleasing robot cleaner you can buy right now. And the aliens probably want it back. What do you think of the Eufy S1 Pro robot cleaner? Do you think that its groundbreaking aesthetics and unmatched performance is worth the asking price? Let us know in the comments below what you think. I'll be very interested to hear your thoughts and have a good chin wag over it. But other than that, guys, thank you very much for joining. Hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, especially if I've helped you decide whether or not the Eufy S1 Pro is for you. And I'll see you guys back for another episode of STU'S Reviews soon.